Holy cow, we are live. Welcome to Easy to Read Deep Thoughts with my special guest, Robbie and Catherine Sheets. I was trying to think what's the appropriate way to spell Katie because I only refer to you as Katie, and I couldn't figure it out. So I defaulted to Catherine so I could avoid that landmine. Yep. Uh, our topic today is doing scary things, and holy cow, that's going to be an awesome one. Yeah, which I'll speak to here in just a moment. I'm going to start off with introduction of myself. I'm going to ask Robbie and Katie to introduce themselves. We'll describe the structure of the show, and then we're just going to dive right into it. So, holy cow, my name is Jonathan Geyer, and my first noteworthy note is I helped implement a health information exchange for the state of Minnesota, and I did it through St. Cloud VA. That became the most successful HIE in America 3 years running. We won some national awards. Yeah, that turned out to be a real big deal. So next noteworthy note is I coach a boxing class here in St. Cloud, and when our class filled up, we can only fit like 50 people into the gym. When the class filled up, we started putting the practices on YouTube. I figured similar to church service, when my wife and I can't make it to church, we watch it at home, right? And that turned out to be a real big deal. We are coming up on 5,490,000 views. Yeah, it's a big deal. Oh my gosh. Okay, so Robbie, Katie, you're up. Please introduce yourself.
Well, hello, Jonathan Geyer. My name is Robbie Sheets, and I am the person you're interviewing today. We're interviewing about our gym. I've known you, of course, John, for a long time, and I appreciate you welcoming on this show. I look forward to talking the topics that you want to talk about, and if nothing else, we can always default on humor.
I'm Katie Sheets, and it is IE. It's silent. Most put a Y, so thanks, Jonathan. As far as spelling goes,
I looked. I tried to find another example.
Yeah. I guess there's a few ways to spell it, but I go with the IE. Maybe it's the most traditional. I'm not sure. Yeah, we live in central Minnesota. We run a little boxing club out in Hutchinson. It's been going for, I think this is year 7 for us, maybe on paper.
Holy cow.
6 active, and it's been really great. It's been really rewarding. Free time, I like to craft and make things, soaps and other pioneer type of necessities. But yeah, I really enjoy that. So
my wife is into all of your craft stuff. It comes up in conversation quite frequently. And Robbie, holy cow, that was too professional. Take it down 3 or 4 notches.
Sorry.
Yeah,
I'm trying to find a baseline.
It's the jacket.
It's still early.
Oh my gosh. I'm going to describe the structure of the show here in a second. And I didn't really mention background. Robbie and I have and Katie, we've punched each other in the face a lot. Right, inspiring back in the day, and that's interesting. It's counterintuitive. I'm assuming most of our audience wouldn't realize it's kind of a bonding thing. Because once you get it's not angry, it's not emotional in any way. It's fun, right?
It's fun to watch the guys be like, "Oh, good one, you got me," but it's not like the egos don't rise. It's almost more of a, hey, how can I get you next time?
And the truth is, with adrenaline pumping and the activity of everything, you don't feel most of the punches. You don't feel them at all. So it's just fun. It's like playing chess with your hands.
It's getting punches. It's like embarrassing, or it's it's funny. It's like, oh,
In my face. Man.
Okay, structure of the show. I'm going to read a paragraph at a time, and then my ask to Robbie and Katie before we started this was to interrupt me. Like, if you got something to say, the goal of this is a deep conversation, and specifically, I want to talk about doing scary things. I'm a coach myself, so this is there's some loaded questions here. There's an opportunity for us together to go real deep on this one, because you and I, or we have insight that I'm confident my 29,000 connections, the majority of them haven't thought of, because you don't know what you don't know. And this is a unique opportunity. Boxing on the surface, where I'm at this point is boxing on the surface is dumb, or that's kind of how I view. It's the deep level stuff. Like, holy cow, I have yet to see anything that can touch it or that can replace it. It's yeah, it's interweaved into my my life, my ideology, how I see the world. Yes. Okay. Awesome. Paragraph at a time. Let me dive right in. I've known Robbie for nearly 20 years. Katie, I don't remember when I remember seeing you at the gym, but I don't remember what the timeline was.
Christmas party 2017.
What? No, it was a little before that.
It is.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I've known Robbie for nearly 20 years. I'm not positive on the actual timeline, which I just spoke to. I knew it was around the time I first started boxing. Back then, I was about 170 pounds. Why? Because I was still working construction, sweating in the heat. Yep. And Robbie was about 220 pounds, maybe more. He'll correct. And I knew it when he landed a good punch. Like, yeah. As I was writing this, I was trying to reflect to get accurate details. What did you weigh back then? I remember it being a lot. Maybe it was more, but maybe it was just because I was so small, like a frame of reference.
I mean, you were pretty tiny, John.
It looked
like
I had a
you
six-pack
eaten
back
good
then.
meal in 2 weeks. So
I remember.
You might have exaggerated my size, but you're probably right. I was probably around 220. I think when I was like 8th grade or 9th grade, I was 189. And at some point I was 203. And then I remember 230 and then 250. And then I went as high as 285 and I'm back down to 260, 265. So, I mean, I fluctuate, but I'm a bigger guy, 6'2", and I'm not fat or muscular. So, I mean, you look like
that's open to interpretation.
the heavyweight boxers of all time, like Muhammad Ali's and George Foreman's and all these other guys, they're not that big. They're my sized. They're not much bigger than me.
The TV throws it off. Yeah.
Yeah, people think, it's a handicap. You get a 7'5" guy in the ring, he weighs 350 pounds, but that never happens. As far as when it comes to winning titles, it's littler guys like me. You got to have speed and you got to have power. So, I mean, back when you were 177, you were very fast. I don't know if you remember that, but you were very fast and I was very powerful. Well, now you're very big too, and I'm very big, but you slowed a lot down. You slowed down in your old age.
No, whatever.
And that's okay, it's
like efficiency. I don't have to move fast anymore.
Yeah, it's smart.
Rocky had to get big. He didn't have to get fast. He had to get big when he was old. So that's you, buddy. You're just playing a chapter out of Rocky's playbook.
In the butcher shop. Punching
Rocky 1. I was thinking like Rocky 5, even the Rocky Balboa movie, which would be Rocky 6, I think. But yeah, you could always hit some butcher meat.
That's mandatory. Okay. I just knocked one of my ring lights over. Whatever. We're going to keep going. Fast forward to now. I'm deliberately not making this about boxing, and I personally don't consider the boxing part itself that important anymore. This part now and my following point is where we dive into deep thought territory. Life is scary, and before I go on to the next paragraph, I would like to speak to I don't know how it is for you, but for me, like the punching part, I'm past that. Like I describe it in my classes like enlightenment. You're always chasing enlightenment, but you never really get there. At this point in my enlightenment, I don't really care about the boxing part or the punching part. Like when I hear the kids, the 20-year-olds talking about beating people up or like boxing, keep it all boxing level. Yeah, it doesn't do it for me anymore. I'm in a different spot.
No, I'm with you, buddy. Absolutely. I think that there's different kinds of generations of boxing. And I think this newer generation kind of realizes that boxing's not all, putting that tough front up and trying to be the baddest guy in the room. The older generation, maybe, I did get a lot of that, but then I was younger too. And I hope, and we don't try to instill those values when we teach either. We try to negate away from them and focus more on the brotherhood aspect of boxing. We want people to have a family. We don't want them just going there and be tough and have a chip on their shoulder and beat up their partner every time they're sparring, because the guys they're sparring at the gym are the guys that are going to make them better, not worse. And if you're beating up your partner all the time, they're not going to come back, or you're going to injure them, or nobody's going to want to work with you again. So yeah, it is about enlightenment. It is about kind of taking it down and rolling with the punches. And in a sense, it's about life. And what you're doing with those kids
Ooh,
in St.
nice.
Cloud is good too. I see them coming in with a smile on their face. They got a good team going. You got a good brotherhood going, and we look forward to sparring you on February 22nd. Not sparring, but
That was nice. Well
That's
played.
February
fine. Yeah, nice
22nd.
plug. Nice plug.
Yeah, that was good. It just rolled. It wasn't
Might have been
natural.
over there. It's Mr. Jim's, Foley, Minnesota.
Maybe at like 7.
Awesome.
No, I think it's great too because we apply when you're getting punched and how you're going to roll with that in your lifetime. I mean, if you're going to be challenged with all these different adversaries or different events in your life, how will you handle them? Are you going to lose your cool? Are you going to get mad? Are you going to run? Or are you going to step up and face it and find a way to work through it? And a lot of kids come looking for belonging, and so yeah, we do try to teach them like a discipline, like, no, this is how you throw a jab, so we do have that scholarly side of it, and I think it's more for training the brain. It's again
Nice.
Nice to throw. You want to be able to throw a proper jab because it's effective if you can. The old Lauren Lauterbach, he said, a cross will take you around the block, but a jab will take you around the world. And
That's a good one.
I know he won't take credit for it, but and so like teaching that proper form, it's deeper. Yeah. So it's, doing things right way and effective, because then again, you can apply this to your life. If things do get wild and crazy, how can you determine a plan to attack this instead of running or, swallowing and stuffing your feelings or getting so mad, eventually you just, you explode, and I don't know that a lot of kids have those proper outlets anymore, with different family situations. I guess it's evident maybe they don't have those outlets. Sports are becoming a little bit political in the sense, and even when I was growing up, I played sports all my life for 20 some years, 20 years ago, but, since like 4th grade, I was involved in sports, and it became like, who is your last name or what is your last name and how, and I was in a small school, and so, I think kids suffer from that even in more. And the fees are more, and, boxing.
Congressman Emmer posted on that like an hour ago.
Oh, really? Yeah. The fees are crazy. And then don't even talk about getting into hockey because, you're going to need a third job to even support, one kid in hockey. But, boxing's a poor man's sport. But I think that
This always has been.
Yeah, but because you don't need anything to train or to participate, just you got to have like a can-do attitude is about all we say is the rule. You got to pay the dues and you got to try.
Leave the ego at the door.
Big time.
People come in and they think they know how to box. Nobody knows how to box.
Oh my gosh.
Everybody's a street fighter.
Yeah.
Nobody's a street fighter. Okay. Nobody knows how to box.
When they throw an uppercut, they're not they're the street fighter type,
What? You punch back?
Yeah.
Didn't see that coming.
It's a dig, it's a real dig.
A bolo. You get a lot of big hitters come in right away. And that's why, it's careful who you match them with too. You want to match them with somebody with more experience and that doesn't have a big ego, because they're going to come out at them hard a lot of the time. You've got to be able to pull back. You got to have somebody you can trust. So I try to put them with people that have been boxing for 5, 6, 7 years. So they know what's coming at them and they know how to hold back. If you put a couple newbies against each other right away, it's a test of egos and it becomes a battle.
Which was us. That's the punching. Yeah. And it's normal. Oh, you just spoke to this, but before we dive into it, I was thinking that too. I consider it like a baseline. What is the average? And I speak to this a little bit, like it's worth scoping out a bit here. The average person, jump in at any point in time, but the average person thinks they're awesome. The average guy, football player, the average high school bully comes in and they're the greatest thing ever, right? Like that's similar to like the people watching our YouTube channel, right? Like the default assumption is that you're awesome, right? Yeah. Because you don't have the measurement of not being awesome. Like why wouldn't you think you're awesome if you've done nothing to prove that you're awesome? Yeah, I'm picturing like the baseline state is the assumption that you can do what you see on TV, and then in my experience, and I'm sure I'm confident it's the same for you guys. These new guys come into the gym, which you were just speaking to, and then they try to be that person they see on TV, and then there's a digressing, descending angle of
Reality.
sadness. Yeah. Like, oh, I'm not that great. And that's most boxers leave and don't come back. And
Yeah,
that's
you're
as
absolutely
a
right.
coach, that's like the hardest thing to I spend the vast majority of my strategy pointed towards that because I want them to come back. Like everybody goes through that awakening of, oh, I do suck. Like, and yeah, you get it's like the first hurdle. I'm picturing never ending story with like the oracles that shoot lasers out of their eyes. It's the first oracle. It's the first thing that you got to get through is I'm not that great. I'm not that.
We took golfing lessons one time and people were
Awesome.
getting really mad. And the guy told us, he said, you're not good enough to get mad. And
That's a good one. Yeah.
And it just kind of stuck with us. And I think a lot of that too, people, we live in an instant culture. And so I think when people don't get it in the first 2 hours of trying something brand new, they're throwing it out because why can't I do it? I need that. I'm so used to getting everything I want right now that, the drive or the hunger or the thirst to succeed or to maybe even achieve that is a little dry.
As men, we daydream all the time on what we would do in certain situations. Like if a lion came into my house right now, how would I defeat that lion? And that goes on all the time for men. Really? And I think they carry that into boxing too. People think they can rely on this blind rage. They're going to black out and they're going to get real angry, and that's what they have to rely on. They don't understand they have to have a certain set of skills. You have to actually have fought somebody in order to know how to fight. Otherwise,
it's going to last 30 minutes. Now what?
If that. They're going to be real sad when they find out that, oh, man, I guess I should have taken some boxing classes. But we get guys in all the time, just like you described. And, I'll work with them. And it's not that I'm going hard on them. It's not that I'm hitting them hard. It's that they get defeated. They feel defeated. They feel overwhelmed. They feel like they're not amounting to what they need to be because of what they see on TV, like that fool Jake Paul, who kind of put a black eye on boxing. And that's why we kind of take away from all that. And we try to get people to take a military approach. We want to tear them down first, humble them, and then we build them up. But if you don't want to come back after being torn down or humbled, then you're wasting my time.
Which is common. That's the average, right?
There's other boxers there, people that want to keep coming back, people that aren't scared to lose, people that aren't scared to get hit. And I'm going to tell you, if you come into boxing, you're not going to win your first match. People come in, they have this idea, I'm going to win right away. You're going to lose. And if you want to keep coming back after that, then you might be becoming a good boxer. But if you give up right away after you lose a match, you will never be a good boxer. Unfortunately, you do get to call yourself a boxer at that point because you did take a match. But it's not until you take a match can you really call yourself a boxer. You come to boxing practice. You can take boxing fitness classes. You can have sparred people, but you're not a boxer until you take a match. And I try to tell the guys that so they understand. And, I never push it on them either. I tell them, hey, you got to come to me when you want a match. You come to me and I'll tell you if you're ready to get a match. I never tell people, like there were older gyms that I used to go to and they would try to push matches on you. They'd be like, oh, next week you got to fight, Robbie. I never liked that. In fact, a lot of boxing is traveling and it's traveling far. There are never matches that happen in your backyard. You're traveling 4 or 5 hours for a match, and you're in there for maybe 9 minutes.
I fought all over the Midwest. Or not Midwest, but like everywhere.
Sometimes there's like 20 people on that card and you're fighting last. So you
freaking 12 hours all cramped up when you get there to fight.
You wait 4 hours and then you get a fight for 9 minutes. It's a joke. It's a joke. But I understand that people want to test their mettle. And unfortunately, there's not enough boxing clubs in Minnesota to be able to go into their backyard. I wish there were. Just like when we started this club in Hutchinson, there were no other gyms. There hadn't been boxing in the area since the early 70s. So it was huge on us. It was really big. We had to push this new culture. We had to push this new sport into this community that was really unfamiliar with boxing. And all they had to go off of was Jake Paul and some maybe Mike Tyson in the 90s. They don't remember the boxers of yesteryear from the 60s, the real kings and legends of boxing. And that's probably been our most difficult feat, is trying to bring awareness to the area that, hey, there is boxing again. So we get classes, and it can range anywhere from 6 to 15 people. It's not a really
Yeah,
big
you guys are
community
doing
like
awesome.
St. Cloud, but I think it's pretty good for what we got going on.
Yeah, what do we have
And-
for space and everything? I mean, we had upwards of 25, and that was just almost unmanageable for what space we had, the equipment, and
You got a big facility, you can handle that kind of people. And with circuit training,
It does get
get
harder.
better.
The more you have, the lower the quality of coaching, because I can't
yeah, I
do
mean, there's only
one-on-one
so
with
many of
50
you.
people.
Yeah.
But also, if there's not enough people, the energy's not there. So it's
Yeah.
counterproductive. You want enough people for the energy, but you want enough, people to be able to train too.
And you got to adjust well, I'm sure it's the same for you. You got to adjust your coaching style. I have to adjust my coaching style to match how many boxers we have. It's
Yeah,
like
or who
different for
shows
the
up.
small, it's different for the big classes.
Yeah, because sometimes you get like, you don't know who's coming ever, so you get like a whole group of noobs, or, you have a whole group of
good call.
veterans too. So then it's like the whole lesson plan's out the window,
Yeah,
and
now you got to rely on the veterans helping you out to teach the newbies.
Mhm.
But you get people safer that way. Things are safe. People don't get tested, because if there's not a veteran working with the newbie, there's that chance that they're going to lose their shit.
Yeah, or get hurt. Anyway, that's the last thing we want, just because
I would say it's highly probable. Right?
Yeah.
Like not a chance. Like it's guaranteed to happen unless you do something to stop
Absolutely.
it. Sorry,
and
Katie, I interrupted you.
our veterans aren't perfect either. There have been times too that, emotions run high, and there's just a, couple of face hits, and it's like, okay.
Talk to me after class. They'd be like, the new guy really got on my nerves today. Did he? How was that? Well, he was doing something different from what we were drilling. Okay. Well, first rule of sparring is like with like. If they keep coming at you with these hard bolo punches, and you keep telling them, hey, pull it back, and you got to hit them hard. You got to once just to teach them.
The check them. Yeah, it's
They
a
don't
real thing.
listen.
You gotta check
They
them.
don't listen. It's like spanking a dog.
Works that way with employees too. Like boxing and business, there is a lot of similarities, or
Mhm.
Oh yeah, for sure. You're a Six Sigma black belt. I mean, Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, it was real.
I just inhaled something. We are in our last 8 minutes here, so I am cherry picking the things I want to talk about because we won't be able to read the whole article. Unique opportunity. Oh my gosh. Let's talk about building. So speaking of people, the baseline perception of how boxing works and how it actually works, there's a major disconnect between what what normal people think and then what actually happens. And the deep thought part, most people don't this is my perception. Most people don't realize the necessity of boxing. Like boxing's dumb. You're going to go in there and you're going to punch somebody and there's injuries, and all this TBI kind of stuff. And, like getting knocked around, like it does cause damage. And so if it causes damage, it's bad. Right. Or like, why would you do something that is not the smartest thing you can do, or I'm not sure how to say that, but justifying why boxing is like a fundamental part of humanity. Like why has this been around for thousands of years? Like, I'm trying to think of how to articulate this. Not everybody grows up the same way, and that's a super deep concept. I'm not sure how to express that in a way that will set off that light bulb for everybody else. But if you grow up in a harsh environment, what you consider fun is different than if you grew up in a soft, loving, fluffy, padded. Yeah.
I think the challenges are different. I mean, we have both of those, aspects of life in our club too sometimes. And I think that, some of it is fun for some. Others, it's learning a life skill, because I think that what is taught through boxing is a sense of confidence. That's why, getting punched around and doing the dangerous stuff, it also fosters a huge amount of confidence in self, in how you carry your head, and like I said before, and how you attack issues within your life, because, oftentimes the the kid that's been fighting for food his whole life, he's never been probably told he's good at something, or he's probably never
That's
been
what I'm
really
speaking to. Yep.
given the opportunity to, be in the limelight of sorts, and nobody is going to do anything for you. We'll coach till we're blue in the face. Robbie always says, I'll teach you the easy way, but often you're going to learn the hard way.
Oh my God. Yep.
Keep your hands up. Well, here they sit all day, okay, well, eventually they're going to take a few in the forehead and they'll learn a bit, but that also goes to the point that, once you get in the ring, nobody's going to help you. I mean, after that 10-second bell, we get 30 seconds with you to a minute. We tell you what you're doing wrong, but you can't hear, your mind's focused and stuff like that.
Everybody's watching. You can feel it.
They are. There's a lot of pressure. But it is one of the most noble things to go in there, knowing you're going to get punched, knowing you could be punching people. And I have never seen in my entire career life of athletics the level of sportsmanship that is portrayed
Oh my God.
within the ring. You wouldn't believe the bloodiness that people come out, but those fellas and ladies, my goodness, are they hugging afterwards? And there is just such great gratitude, and even in the wildness of the sport and whatever they've come from in their lifestyle, but that brotherhood or sisterhood that is fostered right there at that moment, my God, that'll take somebody a long place, like take them places, because it's just so, it's rewarding as ever to watch. I get pretty worked up about that.
They say those stairs aren't strong enough to hold a coward when you go up to them for your match. And that's the truth. Only the bravest of people can get up those stairs. I've never seen a coward go up the stairs, never once.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God.
But
Yeah.
But yeah, I think a lot of people got a negative image of coaching. Like you said, they got a negative image of boxing because they have a negative image of coaching styles. And there are coaches out there that teach you just get in the ring. You're going to learn the hard way. You're going to keep getting hit until you start to pick it up. And that's unfortunate. We don't try to teach that way. We try to teach the other way. 50% of boxing is defense. Unfortunately, a lot of coaches go into right away how to hit and not how to defend. And you got to do both. You got to do both hand in hand, because it's too often people want to only learn how to punch. They don't want to learn
measurement bias.
They don't want to learn.
That's
how
a
to
fun
set the
part.
rope.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And footwork. Footwork is so essential, and it sucks to learn, but it's so necessary, John.
Well, it's one of the first things to fail. But, all in all, when you see these kids come around, that, have been labeled bad kids, they've been labeled bullies, they've been labeled naughty or whatever you want to talk about. They've been put into a box, but to watch them
abandoned by society.
They never had team sports. They were never participating in baseball or wrestling or football. These are sports that when you get in at like 6th grade, you stick in all the way till the end. And when you're in 9th, 10th grade and you want to get into a sport, baseball's not going to take you. Wrestling's not going to take you. You're never going to make the varsity team. You got in way too late. It's going to be hard to understand the plays. But here's boxing. It's pretty simple. You got 2 arms. There's only so much you can do.
Everybody's welcome.
We can teach you.
Yeah, everyone is welcome. Yeah. Yeah. And the funny thing is, when we do some some shyer kids or maybe some non-typical jocks or ego guys, that come in, that are just looking for a place to belong, you wouldn't believe how, when we say, how'd you learn about us, where, I've been trying to come here for a year, but I couldn't, I was waiting for the muster of the courage, that some of these kids, they sit there and I'm sure they stew on it, almost to the point of, you said earlier how many guys watch your show and nobody ever come, they just, I'm good enough because I see what they're doing and I can do that, watching your practices. That ego also.
500,000 of them.
500,000. Let me not forget one of them.
Sometimes I get like 6 or 7 emails from the same kid, over a period of months, saying that he's going to come in, asking me what he needs to do. And then finally they come in and I'm supposed to remember who they are. But I'm like, oh, okay. And I look back, I'm like, oh, that was that kid. And they are so shy. They don't have those interpersonal skills we used to have because we actually had to deal with people. They deal with iPads and phones and Facebook. And it's hard for them to talk to people and to have a conversation. But making that first step of just coming in, that's the toughest part.
Right.
That's about the hardest part of your day. Everything else we take care of. Once you're there, we take care of you.
Yeah. It's really
oh my gosh. Sorry, Katie. We are coming up on time. If you guys are cool with it, I would like to go, if you're willing, I would like to go over a little bit One point that we should cover. For me, like this, what we're doing right now, this is an output of my boxing. Like going up there and doing scary things in front of thousands and thousands of people. When I fought in the Ringside World Championships, there were 6,000 people there, right? And that is terrifying. But that's how I can public speak now, because this feels like boxing. I get nervous before these kinds of things, and then I go through my normal my boxing rituals, as I present. Well, most of my career successes come from this public speaking, and I learned public speaking in boxing, and it's really just doing scary things, being terrified and doing it anyway. Yeah. If you guys want to, it's a big deal for me, and I'm curious to your perspective. And I feel like,
I guess on a small scale too, just seeing we have a kids class too, and
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, we don't run it.
We used to run it, but now we got a couple of great people that have taken it over. She's more of a teacher
Awesome.
mindset, so she really has got her organizations wild, and then her partner is he's a real student of the game too, so he's got a lot of technical
A lot of personal experience, but
Rascal.
technical experience.
Yeah. So they just really complement each other well. But watching some of the kids come out as they're done with class, and then we come in, watching them have, just this family environment, having the confidence, to even at first, because they don't know who I was, to the next class or whatever. So I'd be like, hey guys, how's your practice? And they're like, who are you, you creep?
Stranger danger.
Why is this person talking to me? But as I guess maybe the familiarity of everything, but also I believe the confidence that they're building just in these 45 minutes, all these classes, they really are be able to look me in the eye. I think that's something that a little bit of this generation lacks, just because there's not a lot of face-to-face confrontation. There's not a lot of face conversation, it's all through screens and stuff. So, even my nieces and nephews is hard to talk to in the face because, they're elsewhere. But to see these kids, and I know it's on a grander scale, even with the adults, they have a bit more conscience and, a few more issues, probably, maybe not, but
you're really good at talking to people, John. Like you said, boxing helped you, have this big public presence, and you're clearly getting a lot of followers, and you got a lot of different leads and networking because of your ability to speak to people. And I know that didn't just come overnight, because I knew you back when you first got started in boxing, and how you were real shy, and you did talk a lot, but it seemed to go nowhere sometimes. Not to pick on you, but
fair.
Man, you've really come around, over the years, and that's a huge testament, I think, to your confidence. And of course, you get in a ring and you start beating people, you're going to start getting more confident in yourself. Everything else doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if your job fired you, or if you can't play well a video game. Those things don't matter to you. What matters to you is that you can roll with the punches. You can get hit and keep moving forward. It doesn't matter how hard you get hit, you get back up and you keep moving forward. And that's a life lesson. It's not just about public speaking or speaking in general. It's a whole life lesson. And we do get a lot of kids in, and they are real skeptical of themselves, but it just takes time, and it takes development, and development takes time. And sometimes kids don't understand that. But the ones that do, I have seen people's lives change. I've seen people come in with mental health disorders. I've seen people come in with Asperger's and autism and all these other A diseases like ADHD.
Where else are they going to go?
A few months of boxing, and it's amazing. It's better than any therapy, any counselor, any medication that you can put on these kids. In fact, if you have a problem in life, and it's really eating you away, and you don't have the money to see a therapist, you come into a gym. You spend three 3-minute rounds on a bag. That's all it takes. And just beat the hell out of it. And at the end of those 9 minutes, every problem you have is gone. It's amazing. Yeah. It's amazing. It's like meditation, but better.
Yeah, because sometimes
it's been like that for thousands of years, right? Like it's a human thing.
It's Egyptian papyrus. The old Roman gladiators, everybody. Yeah, boxing's been around forever.
Yeah, even the kids that come in, they've had a hard day every single time. Every single time they leave with a smile. They're so happy about what they've accomplished. A lot of times, the kids are sitting in these chairs for 8 hours a day to sit and listen to whatever regurgitated from the teachers at certain places, so it's just like, very drone like, and to watch them be able to, perform proper combos with good defense, it's greater than the action of what they're doing, it's the ability to achieve, and they don't, I often tell them, I had a hard day. I said, well, you're not, it's going to be hard to practice if you keep focusing on that, focus on this. Let's deter that. And because you're often going to get hurt or injured if you keep focusing on that bad day, because you're not focused in the moment. You really have to give your 100% focus to reactions. We're not getting punched, being able to perform combos and things like that. So, it really gives people, I don't know, a sense of belonging, a sense of confidence.
And we do work with a smaller group, more of a family style group. And I think that what we do is good work, and it's important work. And it's not about the money, because there is no damn money. There's
Really
none.
anywhere.
And
Yeah.
so,
Mayweather, and that's it. Yeah.
the little bit that we make, we do these fun team activities. We go bowling, we have Christmas parties, we have Halloween parties.
That's what I was picturing when I wrote this article.
Man,
Yeah,
we do all
movies,
kinds
we
of
go to
different
movies.
movies. We go out for yogurt after practice. We do all kinds of stuff. We got to show those kids that there's a different kind of lifestyle out there,
Yes, sir.
besides drugs, drinking, hanging out in the streets.
They might not
playing
have
video
anybody
games.
else. You
Right,
might
they
be
really
it.
maybe don't.
Like, that's a real thing. Yeah.
Sober fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
and not just sober fun, but you're not without electronics. I guess that could be an addiction too. Yeah, it's still called sober fun. But what we do is on a small scale, and the way we work, it works for us. But what you're doing here is impressive, and I'm super proud of you, because you do it on a grand scale. You work with a larger audience. You work with more kids than we do. You work with this whole platform, and it's impressive. And like I said, not too many people can do stuff like that. So you keep doing what you're doing, because it's equally as impressive. And if I had a podcast, I'd be interviewing you as well.
I like it. Oh my gosh. We are at, we're 7 minutes over time. Let's end it with this. I'm going to ask you guys to give us a closing thought, like one sentence. What do you want our audience to take away from this conversation?
Maybe the John Handy quote.
No.
No, it doesn't have to be cool. Just like what's the essence here? Boil it down, distill it down to the prime value add.
Boxing's for everybody, and everybody has something to learn, and nobody is too out of shape or too old. We got a mid-40s fella all the way down to preteen. We got professionals, we got tradesmen, we got school kids, we got college kids. It's for everybody.
Yeah, and nobody seems to care,
No,
if they're better than the other person or not.
Because everyone's there for different reasons.
For me, it would be, and I took a trip overseas here last year to Israel, and what I learned over there,
Awesome.
and what some of the people would say, they say, if you knew olive, teach olive, and that's a saying. You know olive, teach olive. Well, I know boxing, I teach boxing. But I want to do more with it than just teach boxing. I want to teach lifestyle. I want to teach them how to be good people in a productive society.
Mm-hmm.
There's an entirely
That's
different
the important
concept
part.
than
Yeah.
just throwing kids in a ring, expecting them to hash it out and get good, and teaching them the values of life, how to defend themselves, how to roll with the punches, how to get back up and keep moving forward.
Mhm.
Entirely different. But that's what I say. If you know olive, teach olive. It doesn't matter what you know. If you can teach it and you can teach the next generation for good, do it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. That was a good one. That is a closing thought. We are done here. Awesome. What is your gym called?
Golden Tiger Boxing.
I like it.
Hutchinson
Like it.
Golden Tiger Boxing. There we go. The Golden
I
Tiger
noticed
Boxing
right
Club,
before
Hutchinson,
this.
Minnesota.
Oh, go ahead. What'd you say?
We're on Facebook. We're on Facebook. So Golden Tiger Boxing. Just go ahead and put it in. We're on Instagram. I never post on there, unfortunately. So go to Facebook. We have a website
Awesome.
too. It's a Wix site, but again, I'm not really on there too much. Go on Facebook.
What I just heard, you have the best website on planet Earth.
Sounds like it.
It's pretty good, but I'm not on there all the time. I'm on Facebook.
I like
You'll
it.
see pictures on Facebook. You'll see videos on Facebook. Everything's on Facebook. Not LinkedIn.
Awesome. We're closing it. This
All
was a
right.
great episode. Holy cow. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having us,
Thanks,
Jonathan
John.
Geyer. It's always good to see you, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You take care of yourself, buddy.